Hello friends, it's me, Wolfie. I am here with the donations page. It's pretty much finished right now. We're going to go through it very quickly, or as quick as I can. I don't want this video to be too long, but there are a couple of important things we need to go over that you need to know for your shift and for the event. So this is the front end page. This is what the public will see when they come to donate. They'll click on this donate button, and this is what the donation page looks like. You can have a look yourself. And there's a list of incentives down here as well. So that's all good. But what we want to be able to do is go into our admin page. So donate.speedsouls.com/admin. You should have been giving a username and a password from Ben. So we'll just type that in and log in. You can change your password up here if you wish. I'll just leave mine just now. And we're going to want a couple of pages open during our shift. So if I scroll down right to the bottom, we're going to want process donations. We're going to want read donations, and we're going to want process pending bids. We're also maybe going to need bids here open as well. We'll go over all four of these things very, very quickly. Now, just as an addendum, just as a wee thought, there are a couple of donations already here, but these are just test donations. Don't worry, they'll be gone by the event, or maybe even when you're looking at this. So during your shift, if somebody donates, if we go to our process donations page, we're going to see some donations here. And we have 3 right now. These are just test donations that Ben has lovingly done up for me. But before we get to that, we want to have auto refresh on here, and we want auto refresh on here, so that we don't, you can manually refresh, but just so it's, it does it itself. You saw it just auto refresh there. So there are 3 actions here. There's send to reader, approve comment only, and block comment. We're going to ignore approve comment only. We're just going to stick to the green and red light system here. We're going to ignore this amber. And what we're going to do, while you're doing your shift, this donation will come in. It gets sent in, this bottom one here. Let's say this is the first one we're dealing with, and we want to read that out on stream. And what we're going to do is, okay, so the name is fine and the comment is fine. It's not like, somebody saying something like they have a really, like a racist name, or they have like a vulgar name. We don't want anything like that, or their comment's not terrible, so that's fine. So we're going to do that send to reader. And you'll see the status is sent to reader, and it disappears from this page. Now, before you read it on stream, go to your read donations page, and it will come up here. Now, we don't have any donation bids. Oh, I didn't know what that did. Oh, okay, that's fine. We'll come back to that in a second. That's fine. And here, again, you can block the comment and ignore it, etc., etc., if for some reason you accidentally sent it to this page. But then what you're going to do is say something like, hey, we have a $5 donation from Bid War Enthusiast saying this is a good comment. And once you've read it out on stream, we're going to click read. It's read on the air, and when this refreshes, this should disappear. When this refreshes, it might take a wee second. There we go. I was waiting to manually refresh it, but it didn't, so that's fine. And then that disappears, and that has been read. Now this means that if we actually, one of the things I mentioned in my tracker guide for the blurbs is posting your last donation in that tracker at the bottom. We don't need to do that anymore because if it's not on here, it's been read or it's been blocked or anything like that. Okay, and you'll see that the donations, they still have shown up here, by the way. Don't worry about all these donations, like I said. But if we go back to process donations, we're going to see this next comment here from our $10, and this is a bad comment. So this would be a comment that was either vulgar, or we didn't want to be read out on stream or show up on stream as well. Because when we actually send something here and then click that it's been read, it will show up on the tracker on stream, which, we don't want anything that's, vulgar or anything like that. So we're just going to go to block comment. And that comment's blocked, and it will disappear. So that comment, that donation has been processed, and that's now done, and it will not show up in the read donations, and it will not show up on the stream, but it still will register in a donation index. So that's fine, that would all be good. And this next one here is for a bid war. So, we have $15, you read out your donation, or sorry, before you read out your donation, you check it so everything's fine, your donor's fine, your donor name is fine, the comment is fine, And our actions, well, we're going to send this over to the read donations page. And then once it's up here, donation bids should work. There we go. So yeah, that's what I was looking for. If we click on donation bids, we can see what they have donated towards. This will be the same for like any incentives and stuff like that. And you see, like it doesn't hang about for long. Once it refreshes, it goes back to the original. So here, once it goes back, I'll just refresh it myself rather than waiting. So once it's here again, we would read it on stream, etc., etc. But if we decided that we didn't want to, like it got through, we just click ignore. Status has been ignored. But once it refreshes, I'll just manually refresh it just now, which you can do. And it will still show up again in the donation index. There's that $15 there. One other thing, just to bring up, that's for a bid war. Now, if it was something like, if we look actually at our donations page here, if we go back to our events, and it was one of these ones where it was the file name, which I should be able to find actually if I just type in Dark Souls. Where is it? Oh, there it is. Add name. Now, these are user submitted names. These are publicly submitted names. Now, we might necessarily not want that, but this is what's going to show up on the process pending bids page. This is why we want this open. So we would have something like, you would have the name that has been, you know, I've donated $10 and I want my name to be not Bitch Boy. And you can either, as the host, accept this as being viable and being okay to be able to be used, and that would be fine. You would click this accept. You would click the accept button here, or you would click the deny button if it was something vulgar. You know, it could be anything. If somebody was saying like, you know, fuck everybody, or you know, whatever it might be, it doesn't matter. If you are not comfortable with that name, then use your judgment and just deny it. But if it's all good and if it's fine, you accept it. And then what happens on the donations page is it will actually show up as an option that people can select when they are donating, so that can get more donations towards it and maybe win the bid war. And that's pretty much all you would do with that. If you deny it, it disappears, but the donation still gets accepted. So this is only in the case, I'll just leave that there, if there is something like that, if there's a user submitted bid, like a file name or anything like that. But with most of ours, I think it's really just a choice. You know, we have like no parry Gwyn as an incentive. And the rest of the bid wars, I believe for the most part, are just options which have already been defined. So realistically, this page here you'll be using the least. It's mostly going to be the processing donations page where you get your donations in and you send them over to red, or you ignore them, or you block them, sorry, ignore them, whatever. And then before you read it out in stream, you read it from here and you click red, and then that's that done. Now, that's pretty much it. There's nothing really more than that for this. It's actually a lot simpler than it looks. When Ben and I were sitting figuring it out, it was a bit tricky, but it's all good. So let's say that we have our bids here. This is all of our incentives. Now, this may be a little bit tricky. This is maybe a bit trickier, but we'll go through it very quickly. But make sure you know, guys, know what you're doing. So let's say that I am just about to start the Demon Souls All Bosses Bow Only. I think I'm hosting that run. So while that run starts, or just before that run starts, I will basically say to Milt, okay, your donation goal has been met or it hasn't been met. You know, you see we've got our goals here, we've got our total. And let's say that, you know, he's just about to start his run, and then I tell him whether it's been met or not, it doesn't matter. But this is where I would close the incentive, because we don't want to keep them open longer than we need to. So we're going to go here and click on no lock on worst bow, and we'll go to set bids as closed. And this drop down here, set bids as closed, and then we'll go to go. And that will now state that it's closed, and it should not be able to show up here. If I just refresh this page, you'll see that it has disappeared from the top, and the next one would be the Splinter Cell bid war. It's over here, yes. I'm just going to reopen that just now. You wouldn't do this, but I'll just leave it open because I don't want it to be closed for the marathon. So that's with incentives, and that's where we have these kind of goals to reach. You know, we have like the No Parry Gwyn, we have some Soulsborne relay race stuff, etc., and all that stuff. But if it is a bid war where we have predetermined outcomes, so for the Splinter Cell run, we have kill the hostages or spare the hostages. You know, choose to kill the hostages, choose to spare the hostages, right? And we can see obviously there are some totals here. That's just from the test donations, which will be gone, and this will all be reset to 0 at the start of the marathon. Now, we don't click on these ones here to close this. We click on this here, which is our parent. So where these targets have the cross, this is what I want to close. So I think Counter Kitty is hosting my Splinter Cell speedrun. So it won't even be at the start of the speedrun. I think the first hostage you take is about 3 missions in. So when I'm about to start like the 3rd mission, I'll basically say, hey, what was the incentive that was got, or which option won the bid war, sorry. And then Counter Kitty will basically come here and she'll set this bid as closed. She'll click go, and that will close that. You'll see all 3 of them have closed because I closed this parent one here. And she'll tell me, oh, well, Kill has won the bid war with $15. You know, you don't have to say the amount, but I think it's quite nice, you know, to say the amount. And that's now that closed. And if I go back to read the donations page here, the Demon Souls one will reappear because I reopened it. But the Splinter Cell one, all the options have disappeared. And that's it. That's all you need to do. That bid war has now been closed, and it's the same for every other bid war. But I'm just going to reopen it right now, just obviously because we're not actually during the marathon right now, so technically these are all still open. They are going to all be open from the start of the marathon, and will be closed obviously when we come up to them. So it might be, you know, the first one is at the start of the run, the Splinter Cell Blacklist one is, you know, a couple of levels in, so it might give a chance, you know, for like the run to start and for somebody to maybe snatch one of the bids or something like that. It's really dependent on the runner. What you can do actually, and I'll probably do this in the hosting schedule, is I will add a column to your runs to let you know if you have incentives and what's coming up, just so you guys can keep an eye on that and you can plug them as they come and you know what needs to be closed. But again, that's just on this bids page here. And I'm pretty sure that's it. There's nothing really else to add. The only, I think I said it, I'm not sure if I did, is because we have this process donations page, we don't need to do the tracking on the blurb tracker for donations. That's not a thing anymore. We don't need to do that. But I think that's pretty much it for this. If you have any problems, then contact either myself or Ben to do with this. Like if you don't have a username and password, contact Ben. If you have issues with what you're doing in terms of the hosting side during the event, then contact myself and we'll get it sorted. So yeah, I think that's pretty much us. So yeah, thanks very much and I love you all.